my life is a blink of an eye. And I think once we reach eternity, it will probably feel like that. It was just a blink of an eye. But now it seems like we have all the time. I have all the time in the world. It's a long life. So it's an interesting. I think running, racing like this helps me see and compare things like that. Well, I started running really back in like junior high, track, cross country. Kind of got interested in all that. Ran through college, ran track and cross country also. I was just always fairly competitive, so I enjoyed it. But and then once got out of college, just kind of kept running a bit for fitness and a few road races, shorter, like 5Ks, 10Ks, those kind of things. And then got married, and through having kids, just ran just enough to stay in shape. I am 44, so yeah, I ran my first 100. I was probably 38, not that long ago, really. And it takes time to train your body for that kind of mileage, and that's all part of the training, but it's sometimes you have to look at years of just preparing to be able to for you mentally and physically to be able to handle that. And so if you look at the sport, and if you look at the overall ages, or the average age of people running those kinds of distances, not a lot of youngsters, or younger teenagers, or even in their young 20s. Some do it, but the average age is generally a little bit older than that. We had a weekly group that met at a track and did some speed workout and training for marathons. And a couple of the guys that started coming there had done this 50K I was in Ohio at the time, so the 50K was in Pennsylvania. It was called Punxsutawney Groundhog 50K, and told us all about it. So we decided to go try it out, and it was on trails. It was a hilly, really tough, just some real big climbs and technical. But we had a blast. It was a lot of fun, and so that kind of got me hooked on some of the longer races, and it's just a very social thing also, and it's fun to go to these kind of races with a group, and so just kind of one thing led to another, and started doing more of those kinds of things. They're called ultra marathons. Anything beyond a marathon distance, anything longer than the 26.2. So usually it's a 50K, there's 50 miles, 100 miles. 100K is kind of a distance that's becoming more and more popular. And then there's these 24-hour events. I honestly don't know how many I've done. I've done too many to count. I can't even give you a number, probably 20, 30, probably more than that actually. I did a 24-hour treadmill run. It was a charity event. There were the rec center I belonged to wanted to put on this charity event to raise money for a little girl who was extremely ill. So 4 of us who belonged to the rec center hopped on treadmills and ran for 24 hours. to raise money. People pledged, called in pledges, and I ended up with 100 and almost 110 that time on the treadmill. In training for 100 miles, it really boils down to me for just how many miles can I feasibly get into my schedule. It's all about just weekly mileage, building up to as many miles in a week as my body can handle and as my family can. You know, I'm still a mom and have to do all those things and work, and so the training for a distance event like that is just getting your body used to as many miles as you can put on it. But it's also just a lot more mental, just being mentally ready to go the distance. So I might, if I can get in a few weeks of 100 miles total throughout the week, 100 miles total for the week, I would consider that good training.